Good morning, men and women of Christ. Back with you with part 2 of this spirit-led teaching. The longevity of the flesh is in the life of the spirit. Your long life in the flesh, to be here on earth long in the flesh, that's in the fruit of the spirit. That's the longevity of the spirit, where through you is carried out the eternal purpose, which is the salvation of the spirit and all the benefits that come with it. And all the benefits that come with it. Romans 9:8 says that they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of God, but the children of the promise are counted as the seed. The children of the flesh, they're the children of the world. They have the spirit of the world. These are not the children of God. They're the fallen creation of God, but they're not the children of God because they're not born of the spirit. They're in religion under the name of Christ in the flesh, but they're not in the spirit, in the eternal reality of Christ, who is the faith. Remember Ephesians 2:8, for we are saved by grace through faith, and that not of ourselves, it is the gift of Christ. Romans 8:5 says that they which are the children, Romans 8:5 says, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the spirit, the things of the spirit. They that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh. They're the children of the flesh. These are not the children of God. They go the way of the flesh. But they that are after the spirit, the things of the spirit. We know where our long life comes from. Whereas in the flesh, through exercise, through proper eating and dieting, they think that gives them long life. But long life can't come from food because there's no life in food. Long life can't come from food because there's no life in food. Long life can't come from the things we eat and drink because there's no life in the things that we eat and drink. Life is in Christ. What we naturally eat and drink is in our existence as male and female. What we eternally eat is the fruit of the spirit, which is in our manhood and womanhood, because the health of the male and the female is a direct result of the eternal health of the man and the woman, because your natural health is in the fruit of the spirit. When the flesh comes under the government of the spirit. When it comes under the government of the spirit, then the flesh is under the benefits and regeneration of the spirit. Not just salvation, not just through you to bring salvation to a lost and dying world and a lost and dying church, but all the benefits of salvation. Let us go to, as we begin the teaching, Romans 8 through 11. 8 says, for they that are in the flesh cannot please God, because you're trusting in the way of the flesh. You're trusting in the way of the flesh, and you're outside of the way of the spirit. They that are in the flesh cannot please God. 9 says, but you are not in the flesh, but in the spirit, if so be that the spirit of God dwells in you. Now, in that same text, it says, if any have not the spirit of Christ, they're not of his. So the spirit of God is the spirit of Christ. The spirit of God is the spirit of Christ. 10 says, if Christ be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the spirit is life because of righteousness. The soul and body has been rendered dead because of sin, but your spirit is life. It's alive in Christ because of righteousness. Now we have to distinguish between soul and spirit. 11 says, when Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then 11 says, if the spirit that raised Jesus from the dead dwell in you, he shall also quicken, that's to make alive, our physical bodies by that same spirit that dwells in us. where in our physical health we experience the resurrection of we experience that resurrection power according to the fruit of Christ's Spirit. The fruit of Christ is Christ. That's the leading of the Spirit. Shall quicken our physical bodies where we experience that resurrection power on every level. Spirit first, then to the soul, then to the body. Your spirit being in Christ through transformation of your spirit, the redemption of Christ coming to the soul, and from the soul, the quickening of the physical body by the fruit of the Spirit, which is the longevity and leading of the Spirit. Your longevity in the flesh is in the first fruit leading of the Spirit. But we can't be led through the flesh until the flesh comes back under the eternal government and regeneration of the Spirit, so that your flesh is functioning in perfect harmony with your spirit. This is why we walk by faith, not by sight. Sight is flesh. Faith is spirit. Faith opens your spiritual eyes. Faith opens your spiritual eyes, your eternal eyes in Christ. And this brings us to a conclusion of part 2 of this teaching, how we have long, healthy lives in the flesh, but not according to the flesh on earth. How that we are to first receive salvation and all the benefits that come with salvation to the flesh. But salvation is not of the flesh, it's of the Spirit. But we receive the benefits in the flesh so that we can see salvation carried out to a lost and dying world and church according to the Spirit. And that brings part 2 of this teaching to a conclusion. I'll be back with you in part 3. Love you with the love of Christ.